unlearn some beliefs and behaviors. Now, the minute that Paul caught wind that all this stuff was happening at the first Christian church of Corinth, and after addressing some of those problems I mentioned to you earlier, he dives in chapters 12 through 14 to this problem of this church that had all these gifts, and yet they weren't working together as the body of Christ. So 1 Corinthians 12, 13, 14. Now, you may remember, or you may know, you say, wait a second, so 1 Corinthians 13, isn't that the love chapter? Isn't that the one that I've heard that one like at weddings and stuff, right? And even last week, if you watched, we showed a portion of that with people speaking in different languages as a way to talk about racial reconciliation. And even though there's application in, remember, love is patient, love is kind, all those kinds of things, I think there's application in several areas of our lives. That chapter works for a lot of life. But contextually and originally, Paul wrote 1 Corinthians 13 as a way to address this problem of the church that had so many gifts and yet were unwilling to work together. In fact, there's a natural bridge at the end of chapter 12 where Paul says, and now I'm going to show you a better way, and that's when he launches into chapter 13. So this problem of not being able to align our gifts and our talents and our personalities into the mission of Christ was a huge and big problem because it affects the mission of Jesus Christ himself, that people would come to him and grow in his name. It's so big that Paul says the only thing that'll fix this, guys, is love. And that's really what 1 Corinthians 13 is. Now we're going to come back to chapter 12 here in just a minute. But sometimes before you fix something, you have to kind of tear it down. Have you ever been on the floor with like a toddler, and he's got all of his toys there, and he's got these building blocks, right? And so one by one, because you're going to press this kid, you're going to build these blocks on top of each other, and the kid's looking at you, and the second you get to the top and say, look how great, what does the kid do? He smacks it and knocks it down. So a lot of 1 Corinthians 12, 13, and 14 is God through Paul saying, let's knock this thing down and start over, because it's the church in Corinth. Listen, they had built this hierarchy of blocks. This gift is better than this gift, and this gift is better. And God through Paul said, we just got to tear this thing down and start completely over.